Welcome back to another FAQ video. I'm Christian Griffith, owner of Pride Roofing and Construction. Today we're going to talk about another controversial topic. I'm feeling a bit froggy. I had some interesting comments on the last one, which means I guess people are listening and it's time to start engaging. So let's have some fun with this one. Today we're going to talk about change orders, okay? If you guys aren't familiar with what that term means, it's essentially your contractor presents you with one price, you guys start doing work and all of a sudden they say it's going to cost a whole bunch more. Right? You can kind of equate this to your experiences at a shady auto mechanic place, right? They say, it's going to cost you $800 to fix the suspension on your car, and they work on it for 4 hours, and then it's time to pay and take your car back, and all of a sudden it costs $1,600. You say, well, what gives, right? This is the same thing. It happens in the contracting world, and I wanted to talk a little bit more in depth about our practices and what you should look out for as a homeowner when you are vetting out your contractors. So when we produce estimates for business, we do a significant amount of our due diligence and research to make sure that our price that we're giving to you is the final price. So there are exceptions to this process, and generally that happens in much larger scale business than your standard residential project, and this is called a general contingency. But there's still a common thread to what I'm getting at through this video, is that this general contingency is a set aside value that's approved prior to engaging in the contract and the work. And if if we find site unforeseen conditions or things that are just unanticipated that you can't find in that due diligence stage and research and development stage of putting together this contract with your client, there is a set aside cost that's already approved values that you can tap into. So that's a large scale business, but the majority of the viewers and people that we work with are your standard residential clients, and they're working on individual trades. So I want to talk about that a little bit with you. So I mentioned at the beginning that you as a homeowner need to do a little bit of work. We had in previous videos, the process by which you should be vetting your contractors. We talked about, the price that's on the sheet, the experience that you have with them, their communication efficiencies. Are they giving you the good gut instinct feeling, right? Now, there's additional pieces to that. You should thoroughly review their contract. If this, you get your 3 bids or 5 bids or whatever it is that you're doing, and there's a gigantic swing of costs from contractor 1 to contractor 5, we got to figure out what it is that's causing that differentiation between those numbers. They're all campaigning for the exact same trade, for the exact same work, for the exact same materials that you've requested, yet there's a $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 difference between 1 and 5. Right? So if we look into their contractual terms, a lot of the times they're going to show their hand and what their character is as a contractor by how vague the writing is, or how there's written in conversation into their contract and into their line items within that legalese writing that states that they can change this price when they run into a problem, but it doesn't identify that, and you guys haven't agreed on it. So if you don't do due diligence to read and review this contract writing, occasionally it turns into a big problem for you. So you guys got this HELOC loan for exactly $15,000 because that's what their estimate value said that it was going to be, but at the end of the day they bill you for $22,000. Well, where are you going to come up with that additional $7,000 because you've already got your loan? Do you need to pull that out of savings? Do you have to argue with them? Generally, the argument doesn't fare well in your favor because their contracts, because they were written exactly to this way, state that they can collect that money because this is the cost that was accrued through that project. So you decided to go with contractor 1 with the low price, yet they charged you as much as contractor 5, and you didn't get any say in the matter because you didn't read through those contract line items, right? So let's boil this down into its simplest of forms. We're talking about doing due diligence as a client. We as a contractor, generally when we go to the table and we know that we're bidding up against 3 or 4 contractors, our price is almost always directly in the center of the table, right? So we're not the highest bidder. We're not trying to make $1 million off of this one project, and we're never the lowest bidder because, like I said, we do our due diligence and we stand by our price. If your contractor can't stand by their price and they can't identify within that contract what types of costs are going to accumulate if there are site unforeseen conditions, there's somebody you should run away from. So to kind of summarize this point and bring it back home, when you have work that you need to do and you're going through this contractor vetting process, read your contract, read the line items, and find out if that contractor is going to stand by their number. We always stand by our number. If we have an issue where we mismeasured something and we caused a problem with our own estimate that we gave to you, it's written into our contract that that's not going to negatively impact you. We can't bill you for more. Right? That's honest and ethical contracting. Not everybody follows that same suit. So you, as the homeowner, you should always do your research. You should find out more about these things. You never want to get a surprise bill for $5,000 to $10,000 on a project that was unanticipated. Some common examples of sight unforeseen conditions and things that might cost a little bit more, and this is not something you can anticipate when building an estimate, are simple. So let's talk about the roof. If you have damaged decking that you can't see from the top or the bottom, we can't put a roof on top of rotten, waterlogged decking. It's against code, it's against the way that you should do quality business. So we have to remove that decking and replace it. So what we will have is a clear and defined cost per board of what it's gonna cost for us to replace those those areas of rotten board. And that's a simple one, and I just kept this short and to the point. When you rip off the roof, there's occasionally a can of worms there. Those can of worms should be identified as to what they possibly could be, and they should have a cost associated with what those are if it happens. If you agree to that and we agree to that, that's not any kind of surprise, right? You've already agreed. We already talked about it. It was clear, it was transparent, it was honest. We take it off, we show you pictures, we say, unfortunately, we got to replace 4 boards, it's going to cost this much. That's what the contract stated was our square foot value for this. And you say, great, and we do it, and whoosh, we wrap it up, and that roof is in great condition after we're done. So, as always, please like and subscribe, engage. Like I said, I was feeling a little bit froggy from some of the comments because we are talking about some controversial subjects. There are going to be some competitors who really don't like the information I'm putting out because we're talking about how to do it the honest way and how to prepare you for what to do when you're working with somebody who's not working with those honest and ethical guidelines. So, I'd love to have your comments as well. Please engage. Let's have some more fun with it. Let's get froggy and jump, right? So, I'll catch you on the flip side.